So first we'll open our code, previous class, whatever we done that.
ಸರ್ ವಿಜಯಲಕ್ಷ್ಮಿದಲ್ಲ ಇದು ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ ಅವಳು
ಓಕೆ
ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಜಾಯಿನ್ ಆಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ.
ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಇಂಟರ್ನೆಟ್ ತುಂಬಾ ಸ್ಲೋ ಇದೆ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ, ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನೋಡಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಜಾಯಿನಿಂಗ್ ಅಂತ ತೋರಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಬಟ್ ಅವ್ರು ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಇದೊಂದು ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ವಾಯ್ಸ್, ಇದು ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಆಗುತ್ತಲ್ಲ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್, ಇದೊಂದು ಕೇಳಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ.
ಹಾ ಸರಿ ಸರ್.
ಓಕೆ, ಜಾಯಿನ್ ಆದ್ರೆ ಜಾಯಿನ್ ಆಗ್ಲಿ, ಟ್ರೈ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. Okay, so last class, others please mute your mic. Okay. So last class, we just checked some simple example code to print the strings and printing the numbers. Also, we just, in the previous class, we just created a variable and we just print that variable value also. So whatever the name we gave, so that is the variable name. So we can access that value by calling that variable name. Okay, so in this, if you have any questions, you can ask me. So just creating a variable, we have seen the syntax. So we'll create syntax means it's just like a formula. In the maths, how we use the formula, in the same way we have to use the formula. It's just a syntax. First, there will be a two first variable name, and there is a data type. So as I explained in the previous class, so data is some type of data we are having. So whether it is a integer number, whole number, floating number, otherwise if it is a string, or if it is a character, or if it is a image, or if it is a video. So these are all the data generally we use every day, right? So with the same data, we have to calculate the data, we have to manipulate the data. So depend upon that, so we get the output. So for example, whatever nowadays we are using the applications, so those applications completely work on the data. For example, if you want to log into any system, for example, if you want to use the WhatsApp, so you have to enter the mobile number. So mobile number is it's a integer number. So in the same way, whatever we have to do, so it's everything completely on the database. Okay, so first, the very basic one, very most important thing we should understand. So what all the data types are there? So how can we store the data? How can we access the data? That is the most important. Okay, so first, before going to store and accessing and manipulating those data, first we'll see the types of data is there. Okay, so what are the types of data are available for while doing the Java programming? We should understand first. So then only we can able to develop the application. So how can we use the data types in our application? Just for your reference, I am giving one example. For example, you are going to create a software by using the Java programming for some college. Okay, so college usually what they require the software, for example, student login, student registration, and student marks, and student examination results to see the exam results, any internal, and also there is a notifications. So like that kind of softwares usually they develop for the school. So in that case, so what are the types of data it will come? So if we consider, so student name is the string. If we take a student, marks is the integer. So if we take student, percentage is the floating value. If we take student profile, it means that his photo, it is a image type. So in the image also we used to it represents the file formats. So even we know that JPG, PNG, so those are all the file formats to read that file. Okay, those are the, just I'm saying in the real world how the data types will be using by using our in the software development. So how we will use the data types? So just to make a understand about in the real time. So just I am giving those examples. Okay, so let's directly go to the types of data. Okay, one is there is a primitive data types and non-primitive data types. There is a two types of data types will come. So primitive data types means, so along with the Java itself, in the Java JDK, whatever you are installing, so that will handle the some data types. That is, we are not going to create any class kind of objects. So that non-primitive data types I will explain later. So that is not required to worry about now because it will make a lot of confusion. So first we will go for the primitive data types. So what are the data types are there? So byte. So byte is one of the very basic data type. Okay, so byte means, so that what is the size of that data type? So byte means, so we can store 1 byte memory. So I think everyone know about the 1 byte memory. So if you have any questions for the memory basis and bytes, bits, and how many gigabytes, usually we use every day. So your photo is contains 4 MB file. So and your text file is it contains 1 MB file, and your movie, one movie it is taking up to 1 GB. So these are all the data sizes usually we talk. So if you have any questions in this also, you can ask. So just in the image, I will just show how the bytes will be stored. Okay. So 1 byte means it is equal to 8 bits. So 8 bits, it's nothing but 1 bit can store one binary data. So one binary data, it is a nothing but 1 or 0, right? So as I told you in the beginning classes, so the computer can store, also computer can understand only on and off. So on means 1, off means 0. So this is the very basic data type. 1 byte is the one data type. So in that, whatever we are going to store in the computer, so it will store in this format. Even if you are whatever the message you text it in WhatsApp, so that all the text will be stored in your mobile as a ones and zeros. That all text will be converted to the binary and it will be stored in the computer. Okay, so these are the data types we should understand where to use, how to use, and all. But whatever these conversions happens, so it will happen inside the machine. For that, we are not required to go inside that much deep. So whatever we are going to create the data types, we should use the keyword. So for example, byte, we are going to use the keyword as a BYT. Say even we can't able to use the capital BYT. As a human, we can understand. So he just using the capital B, but computer will never understand like that. Whatever we feed it to the computer, so it will only know that formats. So that's why it is a case sensitive. For this, we call it as a case sensitive. So we should give exactly whatever the keyword is there, the same keyword we should use. Only when we are declaring the variable names and all, so that is our own names we can declare. There is no issue. But whenever we are going to use the keywords, it should be exactly the same. So first let's practically try with the byte. For example, I am going to store the value 1. So let's execute and just check. So I am just creating the variable of byte type. So that's why I'm mentioning the keyword byte. After that, I am just putting the variable name. We'll just take it as a, and I am just going to print the value a. So let's remove all these. So I just keep one statement for just to understand. We are studying the data types. Okay, so as we know that, so the from the main, inside the main method, so the program will be start executing line by line by line. Okay, so the comments will be not considered. So this is just for a programming reference. Those who are doing the coding, for their reference. Okay. So when it is start executing the line by line, so first it will come to this line, and as per this instruction set, so computer will just, it will print the value, whatever it is there within the double quote, it just prints that. So when it comes to the next line, so it creates a 1 byte of memory in our computer RAM, and after this equal, it will assign the value of that right side to the left side variable, and I am just going to print that a variable value. So let's execute and we'll see the output. So first we need to go inside our project folder. So for that we have to use the cd command. So it's a change directory. So cd space Java tutorial. So here we have to execute. First we have to compile Java C main.java. Okay, it is successfully compiled. So that didn't give any error. So as I explained you for the case sensitive, right? Okay, first we'll see the output. Java main. So the data type is storing the value 1, and it is just printing the value as a 1. Okay, as I said you, case sensitive, by mistake, if you give a capital B, okay, capital BYT is also there. So I just changed to capital B. Okay, so here it is saying that symbol cannot find. So computer is not able to understand what you have typed. So capital B YTE is there. So that is non-primitive data type. So that I will explain you later. So instead of that, I just given the capital letter E. Okay, just to give you an example. So we should use exactly whatever the keyword is there. Exactly that same keyword we should use. So it is giving the capital E. This should be supposed to be small e. So but I have given the capital E. So that's why it is not able to compile. So if it is not compiled, so we don't get the machine executable code to execute that code to run the code. Only if there is no any errors, so then only it will generate the output file. Okay, after generating the output file, we are running Java space main. So this is the old code which is executing previously, which we have successfully compiled. So that main is there. So that one it is executing. So only after we successful compilation only we can execute our current present altered code. Okay, so we should use exactly the same value. So now there is no any error. So if I execute, I can able to print the byte value. Okay, here the store whole numbers from -128 to +127. Okay, so first we'll check with that. So maximum value we can store that 127 and -127 least value. First I will check with the 127 whether I can able to store it. So it is printing 127. So now I just increment one value from 127 to 128. So here it is giving the error because 1 byte can able to store maximum value of 127. Okay, so the minimum value also minus 127 it can store. It is storing the minus 127, but if you increase or decrease, let's check to minus 128. Okay, minus 126. Okay, 127. Okay, 128 is the maximum. So let's give you 129. So it is giving a lossy conversation. So 1 byte it contains only 8 bit. So within that 8 bit we can maximum we can store 127 to minus 128. So this concept anybody understood or anybody having doubts or questions can ask me now only. So I will clear the doubts.
ಸರ್ ಇಂಟಿಜರ್ ಹಾಕೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಬೈಟ್ ಹಾಕೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನ್ ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಸ್ ಆದಂಗ ಐತಿ ಸರ್?
So andre I will explain now. Okay, so as I said you 1 byte is 8 bit, right?
ಹಾ ಸರ್.
So here there is a 7 ones are there. If you increment just 1 bit more, so then it will go out of the memory. So but whatever you are giving this integer value, it is converting to binary value. Okay, 127. Let's check some other app also. So here whatever you okay, we'll check some converter. To binary. Okay, here I will give 127. So it converts and it give. So this is the bit. Okay, so the 7 bits it will use for to store the values from the computer. If you give 127, so it will convert and it will store in 1 byte memory. So 7 bit, actually one more bit will be there. So that one more bit will be used for the plus and minus value. For example, 8th bit will be, if it is a 1, it is a plus value. If it is a 0, it is a minus. So like that, it will, so the value can able to store only in the 7 bits. So the 7 bits maximum is the 127. For example, now if I give 128, so it is going to 8 bits. And also it is, it requires one more bit for the, to consider the sign, whether it is a plus value or minus value. So now what happens? So your computer 1 byte means it can store maximum 8 bits. But if you give 128, if you are going to store the value 128, it is taking 9 bit. Are you getting?
ಹಾ ಸರ್.
ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಏನಿಲ್ಲ, ಈಗ 127 ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, 127 ಅಂತ ಕೊಟ್ರೆ ಇದೆ 127 ಸ್ಟೋರ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ ನಿಮ್ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಮೆಷಿನ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ.
by
ಸೊ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ನಲ್ಲ ಒನ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಜೀರೋಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಟೋರ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ಹಂಗಾಗಿ 127 ನೀವು ಕನ್ವರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಇದೇ ಹೈಯೆಸ್ಟ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ. ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಒಂದೇ ಒಂದು ಬಿಟ್ ಆಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಅದು ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಗೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಈಗ 9999 ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಆಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಇನ್ನ ಒಂದು ಪೊಸಿಷನ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, 9000 ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಹಂಗಾಗಿ ಸೊ ದಟ್ಸ್ ವೈ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಎ ಓನ್ಲಿ 7-bit place to store in 1 byte memory. So that's why we can able to store maximum 127 value. Even if we increment just one value also, we can't able to store because it go out of that memory. So that's why it is saying plausible lossy conversion from integer to byte. So means it is not able to convert that integer value to that byte value.
Sorry, minus 120 but 128 ಇತ್ತಂದ್ರೆ.
So that also. So 128, let's convert. So this is the, so this is the 8-bit. So but for the signing also it requires one more bit. So it will become again one more bit.
Okay.
So that time it will become a, for example, now if I take 127, sorry, 120 minus 120, check. Yeah, this is the minimum value we can store. So before this, again one more zero we can't able to add. So this is the least value we can able to store. Okay. So this is why we are using also next data types. It is a short. Okay. So by using the short keyword, we can use the 2 bytes memory. Okay. In the 2 bytes memory, maximum integer value we can store from 32,767 to minus 32,767. For example, let's try that one also.
ಹಾ ಸರ್, ನಾನು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೆ. ಈಗ ನೋಡ್ರಿ ಸರ್, ನಂಗೆ ಈಗ ಇದು ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತು, ಬೈಟ್ ಶಾರ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ.
I will explain that. So now before I can able to store only maximum 127 in the byte. So now I am going to use the short value. So let's check that first. So even if I increase 128 to 129 also, it will store. So not only 129, so this can store maximum 32,767. So we should not use any command. So 32,767 can able to store, but we can't able to store in the byte. So it throw the error. So because byte can store only one, byte can only create a 1 byte of memory in the computer, but short can store the 2 bytes of memory in the computer. So as you can say, we can use always short. Why we want to use byte like that, you can ask. For example, you are just going to store some month value. For example, month is can maximum, it will be a 12. Okay, so for that, if you are going to use the short type of data type, so then you are simply wasting 1 byte of memory in your computer. Okay, so what is the main thing in the real time, I will tell you. So if you are see any application, if you load that application, sometimes it takes too much time to load that app. So because they use some this kind of things, because it requires only 1 byte of memory to store the month value, right? So the month maximum value will be the 12. After 12, it will again repeat from 1 to 12. So in such type of cases, we can use byte. So then we can say one more byte instead of using the short. We can use the byte. So when there is a case, for example, we are going to store the year value. So I'm just giving an example. So it's not mandatory like years should be stored in the short or like that. You can use this variable and you can get the output, but that is not the efficient code, we can say. But still your application will work. Still so many applications is running like that. So but for that they call it as a bad developers. So we should properly utilize the computer memory. So the memory is too much important. Even nowadays we know that if the memory is full, so then we will try to delete some other photos, videos, something. So that's why when we write a program, if we properly utilize the data types, so then we can save a lot of memory in our computer. Okay, so your doubt is clear?
sir.
Okay, so in the same way, not only the short, so if you go to the next integer, it is a 4 byte. So again, here we can store maximum this much value, because only with this much value, we can't able to develop any application. For example, if somebody's amount is this much is there, so then if you want to store that data in the computer, so then I can't use only the short. So that time I should have to go to the integer value. But still, not only this is enough, still I want to store more and more values. So then we can go for the long. So it will create the 8 bytes of memory in our computer. So that time we can store maximum this much value. Okay, so these are all the whole numbers. So then when we go to the fractional numbers, so for that also we represent with the dot. So we use here from minus to positive values. So in the floating value, we use it as to store the fraction numbers. I think all of you know about the fraction numbers. For example, it is a floating values. For example, 4.5, 10.26. So wherever there is a dot, we use the fraction values. Even in the prices or even in the liters, whatever. So the value will be, some fraction values will be there. So those kinds of numbers we should store in the floating type of data type. So we can't store the floating values in the